We do this like we do any preview starting day. We start from offense through special teams, quarterback, all the way down through long snapper. So we're going to obviously start off with quarterback. The biggest change in that room is there is no more Stephon Brown. Again, I hate the way the senior year went for the man with the injuries and such. But I think the biggest loss there is we kind of back when we were in 2021, kind of, because I know we have Jet Huff and Caleb Parton coming in. Like Caleb Parton being a senior, playing at the FCS level, right? And then Jet Huff spending time at Houston, similar to how, what was his name? I keep forgetting. Peyton Thompson did for us in 2021, right? So it's not going to be as barren, right, as just looking now where we have Dawson, who's played a lot of football between stops at Missouri Southern and us. I know the one-on-one with Dawson, you go ahead and check that. If I remember, I'll try to link it above here. Right, but behind him currently, returning-wise, we've got two redshirt freshmen, Connor Kirby, Carson Triple. I think they only appeared in the Lincoln game. Carson looked good. I think he led 2 scoring drives, feel like. And then Connor, I think, had like 1 drive at the very end of the game. So there's still a lot to be determined there. I'm really curious to see the growth. Most importantly, I'm really curious to see the improvements from Dawson. I know he touched on, right, some of the struggles was probably getting familiar with the scheme. And I think some of it too is getting used to not having to force the issue, right? Like we know the skill position talent we have is better than what he had at Missouri Southern. Now that's no knock on Missouri Southern. I'm a big Coach Bradley guy. Much respect. It is what it is, right? I think the receiving talent is better. I think the running back talent is better than what he had. But when you're used to kind of having to force the issue, kind of having to push more than you like, right? I think getting a year in the system, right? I think this is year 2 under Coach Beringstool, so we got some familiarity there. The top targets are all back, minus Oscar, so you've got familiarity there, right? So I think that will go a long way as well now. And I think the main thing with Dawson, which he's touched on, right, is just playing within the system, taking what the defense is giving, right, not necessarily forcing the issue. If you look again, right, you go back to Lincoln, you go back to the first 1.5 in the fourth quarter of NSU. You go back to late in that Emporia game, right? Like when we see him operating within the offense, good things happen, right? But then you look at Pitt State, you look at Fort Hays, right? When we're forcing the issue and we're turning it over and we have bad outcomes. So, right, I think that's the thing. We know he's proven that he can play in the conference. He can win in the conference, right? I don't have any qualms there. Honestly, I thought this is the best case scenario. This is much better than when we went from Keats Calhoun to Steph in 2022, just because the coming off the 2021 season and with that Steph had. Right, there wasn't necessarily much of a sample size of having faith in him being the long-term guy at that point. Now, obviously, we saw he made great strides there and did that, right? But I think this is probably the best succession plan that we've had. Maybe in my time covering, because we went from, in 2017 is my first, so we went from Chad Stellar, all-time great, to with Will Collins / Keith Calhoun / Chandler Garrett, right? Okay, then Then in 2019, we went from Will being hurt to Chandler, and then we had the pandemic, and then it's when it was Keats, and then it went from Keats to Steph, and now Steph to Dawson. So in terms of like experience, this is by far the best succession plan that we've had, which is very important because you look at the roster. There's a lot of seniors, there's a lot of upperclassmen, a lot of key guys. So like I said numerous times in the offseason video so far, this has to be the year. If we try to make a run with this core, like this has to be the year because people literally don't have eligibilities left. So we got to make the run now, and I do believe, I do have faith that Dawson for sure can be that guy for us. Then looking at running back, obviously, we lost our top two running backs, being Trayvon Wolford and Peyton Scott. Trayvon's gone. Peyton graduated, now the running backs coach at Mustang. Shout out to my man P. Scott there. We're living the dream right now with the Pittsburgh Steelers offseason. It's wild times. It is truly some wild times. But that basically leaves our leading returner rushing actually being Dawson with 153 yards. Looking at the running backs, leading returner is Jalen Cottrell, who only played in 8 games with $150. So losing a lot of production there. Obviously, we know Trayvon was the bell cow for a period, and then some things happened. I'm getting into it, and then, we kind of saw how that went. Now, I will say we got the JUCO coming in. I think is it Quincy Thompson, right? I feel like it is, and I don't mean any disrespect by this, but it is a less explosive version of Trayvon Wolford. What I'm most curious and wanting to see in spring, can Will Mason take that next step? You know how high I am on this man. I'm telling you, again, you're gonna say it's Lincoln. I get it. It was blowout time. But I am telling you what I saw in those handful of drives that he was out there and they were giving him the ball. I am telling you, Will Mason is a special player. I truly believe that in my heart of hearts. He's got the power. He's got the speed, right? And I think he missed his senior year. The talent is there. I'm truly, and I said this last year, right? I said it was great that we had Trayvon and Will because Will could probably eventually become that bell cow. This could indeed be his time to claim that. Obviously, we know Jalen Cottrell and Carney have defined roles, right? Jalen's more of your receiving back. Again, go back to 2022 in the screen game. Right, last year when he was healthy, again, go back to the screen game. When I think we split him out wide some, he's a very underrated weapon. I truly believe that. He's just a solid player. He's not flashy, but he's very, very effective, and he has a defined role. The biggest thing, we staying healthy. Remember, he got dinged up there in the opener, missed about 3 games, I think, and so we gotta keep him healthy, especially with Peyton Scott gone now. Peyton was able to pick up some of that slack in the pass game, and then obviously we've got Andrew Carney, the fullback. I would like to see him utilized a little bit more. He only got 26 carries last year for $106. I would like to see him utilized more than what we saw last year, right? Like in 2022, we used him, right? We got him some touches as an actual running back. We got him involved in the pass game. Go to that Central Missouri game on senior day, right? He had over 100 yards as the main bell cow. I feel like we've got to utilize him more as well outside of pretty obvious fullback dives which I'm truly hoping we're getting away from their predictable play calling on the 3rd and 4th and shorts, because let's be honest here, a 2-year-old could probably see what we're going to do 99% of the time. So I would just like to see we utilize Carney more. I think him and Cottrell are very valuable weapons. And then we have redshirt freshman Blaze Ball, the lone holdover from the class last year, outside of Will Mason from McAllister. Speedster there, I'm really curious to see what we can do with him, see what kind of role he can carve out. I believe he is a home run hitter. I truly do. So I'm really curious to see how he's looking, how he ends up. And then we've got Josh Cast, a junior. I think he has like one career carry against Northeastern State back in 2022. So yeah, while the unit lost a lot numbers-wise, I think on 2 of the, 4 or 5 freshmen last year. So only 2 of them are back, and then we lost Trayvon and Peyton. So numbers-wise, entering again before newcomers. Again, we'll touch on the newcomers when it's all finalized. But yeah, so I'm really curious to see what these guys do. I'm just hoping Cottrell can stay healthy, because again, you think he's very underrated in the grand scheme of things. We can do a lot with him and Carney. So really curious to see how new running backs coach Cannon Brooks does it, handles it. I know we're back when Coach Gilbert was here. I was truly impressed by the way he had handled that backfield. I feel like we could get back to that with the rotations and such. And I mean, maybe you could say, okay, it was out of necessity, but we didn't have a legitimate bell cow at that time. But I feel like we got the most out of Nasir, Jace, Peyton, and Jalen and Carney that year when they rotated the backs. So hopefully we can kind of do something similar, unless it's an obvious, situation like it was last year where Trayvon's the guy, like it was in 2021 where Jace was the guy. Unless one guy emerges as like, okay, like this is the de facto bell cow here, let's not beat around the bush. I hope we can kind of go back to that rotation. Then moving to wide receiver, we've got quite a bit of upperclassmen. We've got a dear friend of the podcast, Jacob Delso. Now, again, I'm curious to see the speed aspect. We kind of clowned the man a little bit there. About getting caught from behind, but I know he's working on the speed. When we talked to Terrell Davis, he mentioned how he was going with him for speed training. Because again, if you go back to the one-on-one, we had the high school tape of him at Chakota. The explosiveness that was on that tape, and we could just get a hint of that, there's no reason why this man can't return to the form he had in 2022. Why he can't be an all-conference type guy, especially if the offense continues to open up the way it did middle end of season. Because you're looking here, he had 33 catches for 429, right? I think there's no reason why he can't improve on that, to be honest. We've also got Tariq back. The biggest thing, Tariq was actually solid though. Him and Christian Romero were solid on the sweeps. I'll get to Christian in a minute. If Tariq is back, they're returning the punts. We've had problems fielding the. I'm gonna be honest. We had problems fielding the punch. Right, 2022, we had too many muffs from Javion Dangerfield. For last year, again, we had too many. We've got to field the punts, even if we're getting fair catches. We've got to field the punts. But Tariq did also have his moments too. I think he got a couple touchdowns. No, he didn't. He did not score last year. I'm thinking of Darius that scored last year. But regardless, I expect Tariq to have a bigger role than just mainly being utilized as a returner. I would suspect him to get more touches there, more catches. Then we have senior Madison Ridgeway. I appreciate the Ridgeway support, dear friends of the podcast. It's crazy that they're already seniors. Time flies, man. I remember when him and Delso like transferred into sophomores. Excuse me, and here we are now, both playing their last year of football. But yeah, the biggest thing with Madison is just the health. It's just the health. He played in 8 games last year. Also, we can connect on the deep to intermediate passes. There were several, and I felt really bad for both him. Well, for everybody involved, really, because it was great play calls. It was great routes. It was good vision reads, right, by Dawson. We've got to connect on those, though, because, like, there were several. I mean, several. He probably should have had 2-3 touchdowns compared to the one, right? It just was not able to connect. If we can get that going, I am telling you right now, because I know we're going to get the tight ends in a minute. Obviously, we lost Oscar to transfer. I am telling you right now, Madison could be a very valuable, viable option in the middle of the field. You go back, Fort Hays, Central Missouri, I think Kearney, and maybe Washburn, but those first 3 for sure of 2022, watch what the man was doing in the middle of the field there. I'm telling you that he could really thrive there. He could really thrive because, again, if Delso's speed improves, he can stretch the field. Terrell Davis coming off a career year. He finally put it all together. We saw flashes a few years prior, right, in spurts. He finally put it together. It led the team 43 catches, 578 yards, 4 touchdowns. Just glad for the man. I truly am glad for the man because I know it had to be kind of frustrating at times, right? But I mean, there's no way that at least that 3-man rotation unit alone, right there, can't be upper tier in the conference. Christian Romero also came on extremely strong, finished with 16 catches, 229 yards and 1 touchdown. Go back to the it was towards the end of the season. I can't remember which game. Well, it might have been the Pitt. I know he had the Pitt State game was solid. I thought was the Fort Hays. He had a few solid games there. He has the length at 6'4". He also was doing his damage in the middle of the field as well. Telling you right now, because him and Madison, both your bigger body receivers, telling you if the chemistry is there with Dawson, this could probably be the best passing attack we've had since 2018. Well, yeah, since 2018 for a full season while, because 2019 we had to go to Chandler Garrett, and he's more of a Steph type runner. But regardless, yeah, this could definitely potentially be the best passing offense we've had in quite some time. So like I'm hoping that comes to fruition there, because I think the top 5 guys are very talented, very good, solid guys. Then we've got the best long snapper in the conference, in my humble opinion, in Peyton Hunt, who also doubles as a receiver. Then off red shirt, we have Kelsey and CJ Williams. I think he got a catch last year in one of the blowout games. We've got Logan Grayson from M Memorial, Hagen Hacker, Carson Kimball's teammate, and Grow. I'm very high on him. Very, very, very high on him. He was very explosive on tape. You got Steven Cisco out of Medill. Again, very explosive on tape. Really curious to see what those 4 guys do, because I feel like for sure there's an opportunity there. The way Coach Curley rotates, that they can definitely earn some snaps there. And then we've got Ben Harmon, the dual sport guy out of Cashman. He also plays baseball. Shout out to the baseball team. By the way, head coach John Martin there, my man Caleb Glass. I think they're ranked again. Just fantastic start to the season there. I wish them the best of luck. But yeah, I do know Ben Harmon is currently playing baseball. So, I have faith in that unit there. Coach Curley's unit has done solid jobs the past 2 years. This might be his most explosive core so far in his time there. So I'm really looking forward to seeing here if health and better execution in the pass game can lead to our best passing season we've had since at least 2018. Moving to tight end, obviously the loss of Oscar hurts clearly. I mean, he's playing in North Texas now. All right, but I feel like Dominic Dunn, the junior out of Mustang, the man's been here forever now. Like some of these guys I feel like have been here forever. And Dominic Dunn is one of these guys. But he's very underrated. You know, he was overshadowed by Oscar, obviously. But I felt like he made the most of his opportunities. He's a solid blocker. I think he's a really good safety valve. I think you can split him out wide. When he came out of Mustang, and former head coach Nick Bubbick agreed when I brought this up to him. He reminded me a lot of Dante McGee in terms of being an effective blocker online, offline, receiving threat. Right, like you could have him run legitimate routes. You could have him be a check down. You can run, like a stretch or toss, and you would feel comfortable with him blocking. Right, you can motion him as a blocker. Dominic Dunn is a very versatile chess piece that I think just doesn't get enough credit as he should. But I think if you truly watch the tape, then you would come to the same conclusion there. So I definitely think he can pick up where Oscar went off, especially, if we're able to get Madison and Christian going more, that would also help. I feel like it might take more of a team effort to replace Oscar's production, but it definitely can be done. I know we got there's a Cody Brown, the JUCO coming in as well, right? So. But I'm really excited though to see the growth of Randy Nix Jr. out of Newcastle. You recall I was extremely high on this man when he signed. I was not surprised he did not get the red shirt. I can test we get him stronger. We get another year in the weight room. I'm telling you, this could be the best blocking tight end we've had since Marshall Tolson back in I think he finished in 2019, right? I think, something like that. But yeah, no, I mean, he's a nasty blocker. I know we used him some at fullback with Carney. Again, there's a lot you can do there. I feel like that whole tight end room, Coach Donald's room, there's a lot you can do there. We've got Casey Klein, the senior Boise State transfer. I would have to go back and watch more film to really get a good idea, but I do know he's a highly regarded blocker, right? I think we've got Caleb Cornell, the red shirt out of Carl Albert. Again, I feel like is more of your what did I compare him to? Did I say? I feel like it was. Well, the comparison probably didn't age well now because Jay Ferguson had that monster year receiving wise. And I think that's what I kind of compared him to. He's not going to win a lot of foot races, but I feel he's like you. He's sure-handed. He's a great check down option. He's a great red zone option. He's a good blocker. He's a solid all around tight end. The game was not flashy, but you don't necessarily need that all the time. I guess the best way to sum it up is that it's a very blue collar unit. in my opinion, which is nothing wrong with that. That's effective. I feel very good, at least, about Dominic and Randy in there. So I'm really curious to see what Caleb does. I know we have Jonathan Sarr, the redshirt freshman out of Edmond North. Moving on to the offensive line, obviously losing dear friend of the podcast. I'm glad he ended his career the right way on the field and as an All-American. Lane Grantham, just tough. You know, it's one of those. You know, when I was erasing the board, every year there's like a few guys just taking a look. It's like, man, that's over. You know, it was Dante and Johnny, and then this time around, excuse me, it was Steph, Payton, and Lane. It's just part of the business. You get to know these guys personally, and that's what it is. But and we also lost Cooper McCoy. I was not expecting that. That's also a big loss day. We're talking about the all-conference caliber tackle as well. So we did have some departures there. Caden Bradford is in the portal. Another dear friend of the podcast, Kellen Culberson, is also in the portal as well. So we did lose some guys. I did not see Walker Peck currently on the roster either. So there is some turnover there. However, we do still return plenty of talent now. Don't get me wrong. Like, there's still plenty of talent. We've got Noah Dobson, another guy I feel like has been here forever and a day. I think he was all conference last year. I think again, if we could just get back to freshman 2021 Noah Dobson, that would be fantastic. It truly would, because again, no reason why he can't be all conference guy with the athleticism, with the motor, with the size, right? Like, again, we know we've got Rob and Josh Crockett playing in the football league. We got Trayvon playing overseas. We've got God dang it, what is his name? Draquan Brown also playing in the football league. There's no reason why Noah can't be playing in some pro league this time next year, right? Because it means he's got all the tools. We've just got to get it for 11 games. But yeah, I think he returns to lead. We've got Robert Gibbs. I know he was banged up some last year, but also made some starts at guard. You got Montreux Lee also there at guard. You've got Matt Gardner at tackle. He's a solid tackle. You just worry about the speed rushers. That's where I felt like gave him the most trouble there, which is which is kind of why it's sad to see Cooper McCoy go. But we still got talented guys. I'm very high on Reese Trammell. I truly believe this is his chance to really push, as far as I'm concerned. That other tackle job opposite Noah should be open. I know we brought in some really good JUCOs. What is it? Hayden Pullis, the Fresno State transfer, was a high grade pass blocker. You've got Turner Hilburn, I think, the guy from where did Navarro, right? So I mean, it's not going to be easy, like strolling the park. But I truly believe it, Reese. You go back, put on the Lincoln tape, put on all the tapes. We had blowouts when he was put in there. He was putting in some work. You've got Mason Mitchell out of Texas. I'm still high on him as well. And then there's Gabe Grazer out of Oolaga. And then we've got Solomon Usuri, a senior. He was a JUCO last year. And then off red shirt, we've got Bryce Christian from Norman North, Cameron Brannicky from Palestine, Texas, I want to say it was, and then Trice Lewis from McLeod. Overall, I'm more concerned about the depth than I am about the starting unit. I feel like we've got enough to feel confident in the starting five, whether we sliding Reese in there, we sliding Gabe in there, or we sliding in one of the transfers. I believe we've got a good starting five. Especially if Robert can come back from the injury, right? Because I think him and Montrell are guards. So we would have that. You would have Noah at one tackle. So the biggest thing would be getting a center. I believe one of the JUCOs was a center. Now that we've lost all three centers between Lane, Kellen, and Walker, so that's the biggest question mark is who we have take over there, because that's a very important job. I know Lane made a lot of the checks at the line last year, so that can't be glossed over at all. So I think that's probably the biggest thing to watch out for, who kind of emerges at that center spot, more so than that tackle spot, just because Matt Gardner is sufficient enough to get the job done. But I would really keep an eye on that center spot and keep an eye on that second unit, because we are going to probably need depth. You know how the MIAA goes. It's a very physical conference you're playing. I think we might have a bye this week. Well, this year, excuse me. But you're still a tough conference, a physical conference. You're going to need depth in general. So I would just keep an eye out on that. Turning to defense under new coordinator Cody Swanson, the D-line not under the leadership of I'm drawing a blank on Coach Rashad Sanders anymore. It is now under the tutelage of Coach Dallas Dudley. So we will see how that goes as well. I'm pretty sure Coach Swanson will be involved in that too. But we've got, I think in terms of personnel losses, really the defense actually remains fairly well intact. I think more so than the offense. Because if we're looking on the D-line, I mean, we've got 5 seniors leading the way, and all 5 are key guys. I felt like if you're Coach Dudley here, this is the best case scenario. This is the best case scenario for fully running the whole unit there, because you've got obviously 2 of the best tackles in the conference. Again, 2 guys that have been here forever in a day. Hunter Largent and Zane Adams. But again, go back to that Pitt State. Yeah, I truly brought a tear to your eye. That right there was that was a very tough, gritty. If you're a pure football fan, you had to appreciate what those guys showed right there in that game. Those 2 are back. I'm curious. I know if I'm going to stick to the three-man front. I really hope if the 3-man front not getting it done, we don't do what we did last year and wait until half a season to make the switch, because I feel like we can go to the 4-man front as what we had against Pitt State. And that's what we saw when both Zane and Hunter were in there, the impact that was made. And obviously there's a case. Yeah, it'd be great if we could rotate those guys and we don't have that drop-off, right? So there's pros and cons to it, but I just throwing that out there. Then we have Johnny Wilson. I think very underrated too in the grand scheme of things. He did a very good job. Again, I mentioned this, I think, in the season recap. Probably the best at playing the passing lane from a defensive end I've seen since Deion Woods back in 2021. Johnny's got the lane. He's like 6'4", 6'5". Just did a very good job of getting his hands up. The timing is great. I know he had to have several deflections. So he's also a solid pass rusher as well. Again, that's a solid guy. You got Marcus Soul, the sudden Nazarene transfer. I thought he came on really strong, to be honest there. When they put him and now sophomore Wesley Hudson in there, I think we saw a spark in the outside pass rush. Wesley is a guy that surprised me playing as a true freshman out of DeSoto. I'm telling you right now, down the stretch, the man was an absolute force. I think he's listed at 260, which is very good. Again, it's gonna be better now we get him and Zachary Stillwell. A shout out there to Mr. Stillwell, dear friend of the podcast as well. We get them another year in the weight room because I think Zach made the move inside towards the end of last year. So, we get him beefed up there. We get both those guys stronger because those are two high motor pass rushers. They might not get the sack, but I'm telling you, they're going to affect the passer. They're going to push the pocket there. And I've mentioned before, Marcus Soul, very, very solid guy. Go back. Tail end of the season, probably starting with that Lincoln game on down. Got a tremendous pass rush from his in spot. And then to me, the wild card here, we got Lemuel Gordon. We got to get more consistency there because he's almost like what Terrell was the previous two seasons. Is kind of what I was seeing out of Lim. There'd be moments in games, and you're like, all right, see, this is why this was a high-level FCS guy. And then other times, it's like, I couldn't tell if he was on the field or not. So if we can get more consistency, because the talent is there. I think anybody that watched UCO last year can definitely tell you when Lim wants to play, Lim can play. But again, we got to get that for 11 games. Because I feel like he can play inside and outside. Again, he has a high motor. So I think the biggest thing with that unit, obviously health, because we know Zane's just been dinged up. That's just been, unfortunately, his career arc at this point. But I feel really confident in the first 7 guys. I think that's got to be really, really reassuring. And you're probably saying, okay, Smooth, now you're saying this, but did we not harp on the D-line a lot last year? Yes, we did. But I think I think the unit will be better. I'm thinking, I don't know if we're going to be switching the technique-wise or whatever it is. I'll put it this way. It can't be worse. So being optimistic here, it should be better. I'm hoping we can get back that the 3-3-5 does work because I like the versatility of it, what you can do out of the 3-3-5. And we go back to 2022, right? And we were very effective in the 3-3-5. And I granted you can say because we obviously have Michael Slater and Rob Fuentes that obviously makes everybody's job easier, right? But again, we've seen it can have success. So, and if we do go to the 3-man front, and I just mentioned I'm confident for the first 7 guys. You're already too deep essentially, right? That's not counting the transfer. We're getting that nose guard from Garden City, that's like 320, right? So we got some really good looking freshmen coming in. So no, I'm very optimistic about the D line moving forward there. That's something I'm going to keep a really, 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 really big eye on. Outside of the secondary is that D line. If the guys are living up to what we think that they can be. Then we've got redshirt freshman Jordan Ferguson, I think from Emory Memorial, and then redshirt freshman Jackson Vandruff rounding out the unit. Moving to linebackers, we welcome back Coach Jesse Harrell. A sight for sore eyes, Coach Harrell is, because we had some drop-off in that unit last year. Go back 2022, that unit was fantastic under the man's leadership. He was at Missouri S&T last year. He had a few all-conference guys, to the surprise of nobody. I think one of his linebackers led the team in sacks, I think, or second in sacks, second in TFL, something like that, which is very good because we know we know what we saw out of Noah West in 2022 under his leadership. Now, sure, you could say, okay, well, he benefited from the aforementioned Rob Fuentes and Michael Slater. But I still go back to, I felt like the unit as a whole felt different under Coach Hall. Like, it was a different mindset. You could tell the guys loved playing for him. I think we can get Noah back. I know he was dinged up some. He missed that Lincoln game. I feel like he missed another game. He started a pick six last year, though. But I feel like we didn't do a good enough job last year of moving him around. Because we can't assist in neutralizing Noah, because we need Noah. He's one of our better defenders, one of our better pass rushers. Again, I compared him to TJ Watt, Michael Parsons. You can move him around a lot, and he can be effective. I hope we get back to that there. We get him more favorable matchups. Connor Johnson as well. He kind of had a down season, we're going to be honest here, by his standards, which is saying a lot. The last handful of games, though, he turned it on. Go back to that Fort Hays game. I think he had a pick there. Go back to Washburn, Pitt State there. That was the Connor Johnson that we know and love from 2020 and 22. He can carry that over for his senior year. I think we could get back to all conference level honors, all conference level plays. We've got Zion Bell. Yeah, dear friend of the podcast. Just one of the funniest dudes you will ever meet. Quietly had a very solid season. A very solid season. He had several deflections. He was solid in coverage. I think it just was. He had a very quiet season. But it was a very good season. It was a very underrated season. So I think having him back is very good. He also is a special teams guy too. So I'm glad that he's back. We also got fellow senior Nick Davenport. Should be better because last year, remember, he signed as a quarterback, made the switch to linebacker for the first time since high school. So sure, there was some relearning pains, growing pains and such. So should be more acclimated there. Then we have Britton Lord, the former safety from Jinx, the OBU transfer, should be better. He also had some moments too. It wasn't like he's out there and I'm like, oh crap, Grant's out there. He was solid. Same for Hudson Grant as well. Very solid guys. I think obviously we know the star, the breakout of that unit last year was redshirt freshman Jack Puckett out of Bigsby. You could say he's a revelation back there. I'm just saying, I called this when he signed. It was just, again, he's got the potential to be the all-conference guy by the time he leaves. Like, I truly do. I truly believe that. If not all-American potential. Just the way he plays the game, the feel for the game, the IQ, the way he knows where to be, right? I think we're getting Coach Hall back there now. It can only get better. Is what I'm gonna say. It can only get better, and I think the sky's the limit there for Jack. I think we've got a bona fide 3-year starter if he decides to stay. But that right there is a fantastic starting point there. We've got Cajun Bird and Reese Roller. Earned a lot of their reps on special teams. Very high on Reese. He watched that tape out of Verdigris. It was a stand-up pass rusher. Was in the more of like a Eric Striker Kaisenberg out of Bishop McGinnis by way of Westmore. I'm counting him. I know on the roster they have his hometown listed as Edmond. Listen, we're getting low on Moore guys. I'm counting him as an honorary Moore guy, making that be known now. But they were very solid on special teams. They weren't bad when they got the reps in there. Same for DeAndre Joseph, also very solid on special teams. Those are three guys, and I feel like you kind of say they're solid on special teams. It feels like a slap in the face when it's far from it. Again, I go back, Trayvon Craig. When did he made his name on special teams, and then what happened? He worked his way up, and by the time he was a senior, was a key physical force in that secondary. So there's nothing wrong there's nothing wrong with that. There's Joey Haver also got a lot of reps too on special teams. But I'm curious to see if they can carve out more roles in the rotation. Then you've got redshirt freshman Aaron Macklin. I compared him to Marlo Hughes Jr. And unfortunately, we're losing Marlo. That's just the injuries again. Tough. Injuries suck, man. Injuries truly, truly suck. But when I was watching that tape out of Morris, I say it's Morris. Yeah, Morris. I was seeing Marlo. He's great in coverage. He's got good length. He's got good range. So I'm really curious to see if he's able to go out there in your passing situations. We've got Ethan Stites out of. Where is he? God dang it! Where is he from? I'm not trying to. All right, I'm gonna check the roster. I'm gonna have to check the roster. Excuse me. Give me 1 minute, because Ethan, ideally apologize, sir. I usually take pride in kind of already knowing this. He is from Berry Hill. There we go. Okay, I knew it was like a 3A, 2A school. Regardless, though, he's on redshirt. Then Hudson Conrad off redshirt from Mustang as well. I think Hudson was the thing we needed to get stronger. I think was his deal. But I thought the football aspect, the mental aspect was there. But at 205, needed to get stronger. I had no qualms about that unit. If we're going to be honest with you here, I have no qualms about that unit. I think the biggest thing to watch out for, how we utilize Noah and, how much improvement we'd see out of Kazan, out of Reese, out of DeAndre, out of Eric, right? I'm more curious to see how the younger guys are coming along, because I have absolute faith in that front line. I really don't have any kind of worries or concerns there. Then turning to the final unit under leadership of Coach Kamal Duma and Coach Thomas Pearson. I'm so used to saying Coach Kevin Neal and Coach Adam McGuire, so it took me a minute there. Because I know Coach Neal, I think, has moved to assist with linebackers now, which could maybe only improve in coverage. I mean, Coach Neal was a DB at Wallsburg, all-conference guy. So regardless, though, so I know there's going to be some changes there in the back end. I'm hoping we can establish a starting unit and leave it. Like last year, I feel like that was a problem. Didn't get that done until about mid-season. And we saw improvements from that point on. Now, obviously, we've. I feel like the biggest losses on defense have occurred in secondary. We lost Raekwon to graduation. I thought we had another year. I'm glad for the man. We know he's married now, living his best life. But that's nothing more native gone. We've got Amonte. Shout out to Amonte Davis, different of the podcast. Graduated, grad transferred to Louisiana Tech now, so I will be keeping tabs on that moving forward there. And we got with him. He's at Louisiana Tech. Way back in 2021, there was Dantes Fay out of Millwood. He's at Charlotte. I watched him when they played Maryland. Held his own on one-on-one there. I realized we now got Oscar North Texas. Tyrone Howell, former receiver out of Idabel, just graduated from UL Monroe. Hopefully he gets shot at the next level there. If I'm forgetting somebody, maybe. Oh, Jace. Jace is at Middle Tennessee. I saw he posted, I guess they started spring this past week. Glad to see him back on the field. I think he redshirted last year, recovering from that, I think it was ACL, whatever it was. But I'm really wishing him, I'm a big Jace Gardner guy. That's another different of the podcast. It's so what I grew up, when I grew up, but I remember watching him and more from sophomore year on. Along with Dylan Buckheit, I'm glad he's back. I felt like that was another factor, maybe, to the issues we had early on as that secondary. Because Dylan's an all-conference guy. Shout out there to Mr. Buckheit, another different the podcast. Yeah, right. He's an all-conference guy, trying on the spot, right? I know we've got that JUCO out of was it Idaho, Cali, that screen Buckheit. But I having him back there is a welcome sight, okay? Because he's very effective. He's a sure tackler. He can make plays on the ball. I think he gets guys lined up. Very, very rarely out of position. I mean, very rarely. I think that touchdown against Fort Hays back in 2022 might have been like the first time that like he was vaguely out of position, like to that degree, which says a lot because he plays almost every snap defensively. So having him back is fantastic. He's hoping he can stay healthy. We also got Jonathan Mosley back. Shout out there, J-Mo, man, on the fantastic first name there. I thought he took tremendous steps. I know we didn't have the Cho Show Podcast Network Player of the Year stuff. If we're looking for most improved, it would probably have gone to Mosley because he tied with JK for the team lead with 2 picks. He had a pick 6 there. Just fantastic improvements in coverage. Because again, you go back his first 2 years, I thought was fantastic in run support. I thought as that hybrid safety linebacker guy, kind of like what Trevon Craig was fantastic in that role, but it was a liability in coverage. Go back to that Kearney game of 2022, that final drive, he got picked on a whole lot. So I was very glad to see the improvements there. If he can keep that up, would be fantastic. Because obviously him and Buckheit could form probably the best safety duo we've had since O'Shea Harris from All American. O'Shea Harris and Jakari Hunt, and that was 2018 boy. That was a fantastic safety unit right there. It was a fantastic DB unit in general. Ball State transfer, Deion Hallman, Kansas State transfer, Jordan Noyle. You had Colby Underwood. That was Barry Higdon, not so much. But that was a solid unit there. And then obviously we have JK. I feel like all conference guy. Willing tackler. I'm actually sure he came on and did say that he needs to improve his tackling. Right. And then we've got Kobe Stevens. And again, we had him at, was it safety last year? I would hope we move him back to corner. I know the numbers now. We lost a lot in the secondary by way of departures. But obviously we're bringing something in. I know there's Willie Rice. There's David Williams. We've got some good looking transfers coming in there. Might already be there. But I contest Kobe is better suited at corner. Again, 2021, 2022, Kobe was fantastic corner. It just the move to safety. I just don't know if that was it. I just truly don't. It's just it seemed like he was a step behind at times. It just I don't know. It didn't seem the Kobe at corner and the Kobe at safety to me were two different Kobe's. So I'm really hoping. Well, hopefully we get him back to corner. We've got Jaleel. I think maybe in order to do that, if Jaleel can take the next step from a rotational defensive back to more of a mainstay, right? You go back to when he signed out of Denison, Texas. I was extremely high on this man. I still think it's there. I still think it's there. We know he's been a core special teamer as well. He definitely got more burn last year in the rotation. If we could just get that Jaleel we saw on tape, we signed that Coach Doral had him off when he was still at Abilene Christian. We could get that Jaleel Lewis. I think number one, it obviously would be a great asset. But maybe that allows Kobe to go back if that is need be. I just really feel for Kobe because he had a great first 2 years, and then the only change was the position change, and so that would lead me to believe that is the cause. But I'm really hoping we get Kobe back to where he was, 2021, 2022, because I think he's too good of a player to have the season that he had last year. Then we've got Dalton Hurd, the sophomore out of Pawhuska. I think he played some on special teams as well. Then we've got a bevy of red shirts. Davion Hill out of Crooked Oak, like 6'2", 6'3", former option quarterback. I think he got some burn in that Lincoln game. We've got Keelan Morgan out of Houston, Texas. Shout out there to Mr. Morgan, a supporter of the podcast. Greatly appreciate that, sir. Then we have Jalen Franklin out of Broken Arrow by way of Memphis. And we have Noah Marley. Thankfully, another more native. I really appreciate that as well. Another bigger type corner. So I'm mainly more defensively. My main focus is going to be priority number one is the secondary, just to see how that's looking under two new coaches and the new faces and such. Second would be the linebackers, the young guys, your Kazans, your Reeses, your DeAndres, your Erics, your Ethans, your Hudsons, your Joeys, right? And then finally would be the defensive line. I just have faith that unit is going to be better. I feel like there's great pride in that unit. I think there's good leadership in that unit. Like I just know, I know Hunter and Zay is not going to want a repeat of last year. I just know. So I'm not as worried about that unit. I think they're gonna come in there with something to prove. I think they're gonna come in there with a chip on their shoulder. So I'm not too worried about that. And then finally, special teams wise, we've got All-American kicker Nicky Cavero returning again. He's been here forever. I remember his first field goal against Northeastern State 2021. Boy, here we are now. That's time again. Time flies. But the thing with Nicky, we can get more consistency. Obviously, he was clutch in the Missouri Southern game when he kicked that game-winning field goal. He was 11 of 15. I know Nicky's better than that, right? He missed 2 from 30 to 39, right? I can get by with the old one from 50 plus. I can the 2 or 3 from 40 to 49. Good. I can take that. But it's the 3 or 5 within 40 that shouldn't now granted one of them was blocked, but that shouldn't excuse me, that shouldn't be Nicky's too good of a kicker to not hit those, right? So I think getting the consistency back will do what I know he had that miss against Kearney. I had 2 misses against Kearney, but if we just get that consistency back, there's no reason why he couldn't end up a 2-time All-American, at least not a 2-time first team All-Conference guy. Then we have punter Grayson Miller taking over for. It's the last time I can say this, so I'm gonna say it loud and proud. Taking over for David. I don't know what Swasu did to fumble the bag, but I greatly appreciate it. Vargas. Grayson Miller was a revelation at punter last year out of Edmond North, the sophomore. We're in great hands. We're in fantastic hands there. Shout out to Coach James Curley there. We've got, again, quality long snapper, Peyton Hunt. That kick block unit from Coach Curley was fantastic last year, but he blocked two kicks. We've got, oh my God, we got the transfer from Northwestern Oklahoma State. His name is escaping me, and it's unfortunate because his grandfather has been supporting the podcast. Shout out to Mr. Williams. I greatly appreciate your support there. The tape I saw with him in high school, the special teams ace. This is very fantastic. Say what you will. Say what you will. You gotta admit, Coach Curley's unit took a massive step forward on special teams last year. We know the kick coverage was suspect in 2022. I was much better in 2023. You can tell there was much more attention to detail there. And so I'm looking forward to seeing that take the next step. I think the next step would be getting more out of the return game, especially the punt return game there, filling the punch cleanly. I think that would be the next step there. But overall though, I'm really excited to see what we're looking like. I hope to make a few practices, but should be at the spring game. But no, I think I think we've got a good core of what is it? What is it that Mike Tomlin always says? We want volunteers, not hostages, right? I think we've got a good core of guys that want to be here, that want to play for each other, that want to play with each other, which I think will go a long way. So I'm just really looking forward to seeing how much ground we cover in spring, how the coaching changes are working, the scheme adjustments are going. I plan to have, like we did last year, we'll have a live stream update probably middle of spring ball. I will reach out to a few guys. Already know who I want to reach out to. So we'll see if we can make that happen. But yeah, no, I'm really excited for what's to come here for UCO in spring ball.